2025 is starting off with a bang, and I've got your bourbon market update, part 2. Welcome back to That Bourbon Dude. My name is Charles, and we are in part 2 of the bourbon market update, January 2025. So let's start off with a few of the highlights, if you will, what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about a little bit of Michters stuff. We're talking international market, what's going on there. We're talking about the tariffs, how that's going to affect things, what the next steps are for the distilleries, where are they heading, what are they doing. I'm going to make some predictions for 2025, and then I'm also going to talk about Whiskey Tube and what I think is going to happen with it, because I do believe it's going to be changing. Now, if you're enjoying this kind of content, please, like 90% of you guys are not subscribed. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Let me know you're enjoying this. I see the views going up and we're not getting a lot of subscribers, but I think you guys are going to do it this time. You're going to smash that subscribe button and we are going to knock it out of the park in 2025, because I do have a goal, and that is to hit 10,000 subscribers in 2025. We got a long ways to go, but I know we can get there. So next, I want to cover a little bit of channel news, and I think you guys might enjoy it. So everyone's been asking about Discord. I'm building a server right now. Discord server is under construction. We're getting very close to having it finished. Also, my website is about to be finished, so that's great. I'm going to be on Instagram and X as well. The merch site is live. All your That Bourbon Dude merchandise is over there. Also, we have Facebook groups called That Bourbon Dude. It's a private Facebook group. Join it. We're having a blast over there. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. The last little part of this news we're going to save for the end, because it kind of ties everything in together. So let's start off with Michters news, okay? Recently, the CEO of Michters had an interview, and he was talking about what their plans are, how things are changing for them, and the international market and tariffs. So this actually ties in the first 3 points of this video into one section. So let's kind of break down what he was talking about. So most importantly, when I watch this video, and I will link this video down in the description area below for you guys so you can watch it yourself and know what the heck I'm talking about. So he really said the quiet part out loud, okay? And here's what's got me, okay? Clearly, after this interview, they have made it very obvious to me, and then once you see the interview, you as well, that their concern is no longer the US market. They're wanting majority of everything to be outside of the United States. So there's international market. So their focus is on the international market, specifically China, okay? Focusing on China. In fact, he even goes on to mention that they had received an award for being the industry brand of the year in 2024, which is an award that doesn't get handed out very easily. That is very hard to achieve that in such a massive market such as China. Now, let's dive in a little bit on what his plans are, Michters moving forward, and you could only assume that the rest of the brands in the market, the big legacies, even some of the craft distilleries, probably have this same plan in place, because it does make sense for them going forward. But what will happen to the US market? So let's talk about this, okay? In 2018-19, I can't remember the exact date, the EU put on a tariff of 25% on exports going out of the United States into the EU, and that was mainly for spirits, but there was some for other stuff as well. And what they were doing is at 25%, that's a big hit. Well, he goes on in his interview talking about how they adjusted for this, And it was actually kind of a shitty way to say it, but basically, in a nutshell, if you want to do business with Michters outside of the United States, be prepared to eat 100% of the cost of the tariffs. And they treat it like they're doing you a favor, like, oh, you know, I came to you first. I'm giving you this this gift, this offering to be able to represent our brand. But if you don't eat the cost of the tariffs, we'll move on to one of your competitors. So that's what he made it feel like. It might not be that way. This could just be me reading into it, but I want you guys to watch the video and decide for yourself, because I feel that is exactly what they were doing. They were leaning really hard on their international distributors to eat the cost. And then what happens when they eat the cost? The price goes up for the consumer. Okay, so what's coming up in March for them, or for the entire industry? So at the end of March, the new tariff takes effect, and this is not one that's going to affect them as much as everybody else, unless everybody else is doing the same bullshit tactic of forcing their international distributor to eat all the cost and pass it on to the consumer. But in the end of March, we are going to see a 50% tariff imposed by the EU on the United States for bringing products over. Specifically, is going to affect the spirits industry probably the hardest. Now, it looks like what their game plan is right now is send everything they can out of the country into their foreign markets. China, they talk about France being a massive market for them. Canada, they're up like 25% in Canada, so they're pushing all their products out that they can. So that makes me think here in the next couple months, it's kind of going to be hard to see any Michters products on the market, at least any of their special releases, because they do seem to be sending a lot of those overseas. Now, after March, that new tariff takes effect, so that's going to really put a drag on their profits. But are they going to actually absorb any of the cost of these tariffs, or are they going to continue like they did in previous years and make the distributors eat the cost? Because he makes it very clear. Well, let me say this. He doesn't make it clear. He refuses to acknowledge that they accepted any of the financial burden of the tariffs, and he kept on referring to their local distributors and international distributors eating the cost. Okay, so with that being said, let's dive into this next part here. This is the part that's kind of got me wanting to know why they're going to be transitioning like this. Are they abandoning the US market completely? Do they just not care? Did they treat us so badly over the last few years in this bourbon boom that they're like, damn, we burnt our customers hard. We're gonna have to find a new market. Is that happening? Yeah, probably. And it's not just Michters. I'm just using them for an instance for this specific situation, because there was an interview, and a lot of the information that I pulled from that interview I'm relaying to you guys today, but I want you guys to hear it from me before you see the video. Now, here's the part that I want to know. With them focusing outside of the United States, are we going to stop seeing Michters products? Because I do enjoy a lot of the Michters products. I think they put out a pretty solid offering, especially like the M10s and their barrel strength stuff. And then also their standard offering stuff is pretty decent as well. Okay, now let's fast track a little bit over to what the next moves for the distilleries are, because there's not really a lot of options at this point. So in my opinion, here's a couple of the ones that I think that we are going to see happen. And the CEO of Michters kind of touched on it, but new markets, they're going to have to branch out. They've done what they could do here as far as damage in the US, and it's time to move on and ravage other countries and jack up prices and make it extremely difficult to get stuff. And as he stated in his video or his interview, that they allocate a lot of their products to make it harder to get, to create a higher demand for their products. Now, the next things I see happening here with the distilleries, we're going to get more limited bottles, okay? But this is going to be a temporary fix to their financial crisis. They're going to be dumping more LEs and things like that out on the market to try to grab some cash. So expect that to happen. I think Buffalo Trace has already started on that with a couple things. We've got their second edition of the Prohibition offerings. I think that's going to be like paired with a cigar, but you have to purchase those obviously separately. The next part, obviously, we see the layoffs happening with Brown-Forman, and I'm sure they're only the first of many to have this happen, so that we're going to see probably a lot more layoffs coming. And the next part is going to be asset and liability reduction. Okay, they're going to be freeing up cash. We saw it with Brown-Forman. They're getting rid of the cooperage. That's only the first step, okay? There's a lot of properties that these distilleries own that is not directly used for the distillation process, housing. They have purchased over the last several years a lot of additional properties that they wanted to use to expand upon, because they truly did think that this was going to be a never-ending fountain of money for them. So they bought up a lot of stuff, and you probably saw this with one of my earlier videos that I put out with Barrel Craft Spirits and them getting rid of that bottling and blending facility in Louisville as well. So that's kind of the direction I see that going. They need this cash to weather the storm, right? And what do I mean about weather the storm? The first wave of the storm is going to hit them hard, and they're going to need to have a pile of cash to continue operations, right? Because obviously sales is down, everything's down, and they do not want to be the first man to close the door, because that is horrible for the brand. Not only is it horrible for the brand, it's horrible for the consumer, because a lot of us, regardless of which distillery closes first, there's a lot of us that like stuff, so we want it to continue. So they're going to free up a bunch of cash to keep afloat and continue. All right, the next part I think is going to happen is combining forces / new partnerships. We're going to see distilleries collaborating together more to push out their products. And then with this, I think we're going to see some new acquisitions show some strength, regain confidence with their shareholders, any kind of investors, okay? Who is going to be first to do this? We've already seen MGP purchase Penelope, right? That was a great deal. I think it was like $360-something million. If I'm wrong, drop it in the comments. I think that was close to what it was, but who do you guys think is going to be the first one to make this big swing? Reach out there, try to buy up a brand that was doing well during the bourbon boom. Maybe they've seen some decline, but that brand is a brand that will continue to do something, because they have either like a great cult following behind them, which a lot of places do at this point, or maybe they just put out good juice, okay? Maybe they got a good story, their marketing campaign's great. A prime example is with Penelope. Whoever's doing their branding, their marketing, great job, guys. You guys are killing it. I mean, kudos to y'all. That rum cask that you're doing here called Havana, genius idea. Absolutely genius, okay? So my question to you guys, and I need you to drop it in the comments, who's going to be the first to buy up a brand? Or, this is the other part, what brand do you think is going to be sold first? Because there's some top ones out there that the big legacy guys could scoop up at a value at this point. Okay, this is the part everybody wants to know. This is my predictions for 2025, what I see happening going forward, and it's a doozy. I got a long list here. First thing, we're gonna see some liquor stores closing down, and here's why. They have jacked up their prices and run off their customers. I'm dealing with it right now locally, guys. If you are one of those people that are watching this right now and you have a liquor store and you have seen a massive decline in your sales, your shelves are bare, whatever the problem is, listen, there is a solution to this. I'm actually helping a store currently to try to get back on track, regain the confidence of their local groups, their local community, and get them back on track. So let me say this, if that's you, the first stores to act will be the ones who survive this downturn. Keep that in mind. Okay, next we're going to start seeing more allocations on shelves than ever before. Okay, I was talking about that previously. They're going to start putting LEs out for a cash grab. So these next probably 7, 8, 9 months, we're going to see some products dumped out. Okay, just the other day, the Stag 24D hit the market. They don't do that. They've never put out 3 batches. If they have, correct me in the comments, or 4 batches. I've only ever seen them put out 3. So if they have done that before in the past, let me know. The next thing I see happening, guys, is the tequila and rum. Okay, it's here to stay, folks. It has got a grasp on the market. It is every single day gaining ground and continuing to edge out the whiskey, rye, and bourbon market. Like, they're taking over, guys. It's happening. Don't worry, there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, we're gonna have to weather the storm just like everybody else. I believe that these 2 products are going to be no different than what happened with vodka in the 90s, early 2000s. We're up and down. It's just their time, okay? Bourbon had its time, vodka had its time. Now it's time for rum and tequila. Now the next part, gift shop releases will be bigger than ever because Kentucky House Bill 500 is happening. If you don't know what Kentucky House Bill 500 is, you need to jump back on part 1 of this video series of your Bourbon Market Update. I cover it in there. But we're going to see more products being brought in to the distillery gift shops, okay? It's going to happen. Mark my words. Because what happened 2 days ago? You're going to see this video on a Thursday. This happened on Tuesday. Buffalo Trace dropped what? E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye in the distillery. And I will throw up some pictures right here in case you don't believe me, but I got the pictures from the distillery. It happened. So yes, this is happening. I predicted this a while back ago. I know some of you guys are telling me in the comments that I'm a freaking idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's convenient that I keep being freaking right, okay? So keep telling me I'm wrong. I appreciate the comments regardless if they're good or not. All right, next. Craft boom is over. Some of them will shut the doors, okay? Some of them are overextended. They bought a lot of barrels at high prices, but that leaves the other side of the table available. And who is the other side of the table? That is people who did not just hoard inventory. They kept their inventory extremely low. They bought what barrels they needed to put out. They may have a little bit in inventory, but they're not sitting on hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of barrels. They just was putting out product as product was coming in. So they are setting pretty because what has happened? Barrel prices continue to fall. Now, as the prices of barrels continue to fall and craft distilleries start closing down, the age of that stock is going to continue to go up. That means the people who are buying these barrels are going to have access to higher quality barrels at a value. What's that mean? That means we're getting better juice at a better value. But hopefully the prices of the bottle will reflect what they have paid for the barrel and they adjust appropriately. We need that, so don't screw us on that. Next up, secondary market. I'll say it right now, I've said it before, it's going down, but it is not going away. Prices will continue to fall, ladies and gentlemen. They've been falling now for 18, 24 months, but really hard in the last 24 months. They have taken a dip to a point that I didn't expect it to be that fast. I thought we were going to see a freaking gradual decrease, but we've seen stuff just absolutely tank at this point. Okay. Next, this is one that I really like. Shelf bourbon will become more popular than allocated. You're like, no way. Absolutely not happening. Well, folks, it's gonna happen, and let me tell you why. So many of us are sick and tired of chasing bottles and never getting them. And what do we end up doing? We buy shelf-stable bottles. It's already happening. I'm literally getting reports from stores that can't get enough basic stuff on the shelf at this point. And when the store does a drop, obviously their drops are probably overpriced and people are just passing. I just talked to a store owner the other day that told me that he did his drop. They sold maybe 25% of the bottles that they had. And he probably had 80 to 100 bottles out. They sold about 25%. And people were walking up there setting Rare Breed on the counter, skipping over all the other stuff that was overpriced. They're setting Knob Creek 12-year, Knob Creek 9-year. Unbelievable that the resurgence of Old Forester 100 is taking over again. I have been seeing shelves absolutely empty at this point of those bottles. I love that bottle. I like to sip it neat. I like to make cocktails with it. It's inexpensive. You can get it in a handle. You can get it in smaller sizes. It's a great bottle. And the stores are saying that they can't keep it in stock. So shelf-stable bottles are becoming more popular than allocated. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a demand for allocated, because there's several of us, obviously. If you're watching this video, you're probably one of them. And you see behind me, I got allocated stuff everywhere. I like it, but I'm also sick and tired of chasing it too. And I know that there's a great amount of products on the market that are extremely affordable, and I can walk into almost every single store, pick it up, go home and drink it, and I didn't wait outside for hours. I didn't overpay. I didn't have to trade my arm and leg for it on secondary or whatever the case may be. But that's happening. Now, the other part of my prediction. MSRPs are going up, bottle sizes are going down. I showed you that in the previous video in part 1. If you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it. It's very important. Old Forester has already started taking their stance on it. They're reducing the size of their birthday bourbon down to a 700 ml bottle. I think this is in preparation to be able to start sending more products internationally, and that's kind of the focus of this specific video, is that they are sending a lot of stuff internationally. And I'm not talking just Michters or Old Forester. Buffalo Trace obviously opened their facility there in the UK. They dumped a ton of products in the UK. One of my friends that lives there was telling me that they had BTAC running out their ears, Pappy running out their ears, still sitting on the shelf at great prices. Unbelievable. Blows my freaking mind. They can go in and find all the Michters high-end products. They still have Maker's Cellar Age 2023 and 24 on the shelves there, so that's crazy. So clearly Maker's was holding on to a lot of products that they just released over there. So yeah, we're going to see MSRPs go up, bottle size go down, boys. It's happening. We don't want it, but it's happening. I don't like it at all. I find it to be a big bag of ass. Nobody wants to see this happening. Okay, now the next part. What happens to Whiskey Tube in 2025 with the downturn of the bourbon market? Well, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to expose a lot of stuff. Whiskey Tube is going to change forever. It's going to change drastically. The landscape will look different every single day at this point, and let me explain why. First point I want to make about it: smaller YouTube channels that did not find their footing during the bourbon boom will disappear, because it's not going to be fun when you start seeing less and less views. So if you got into it thinking it was going to be an easy ride to success and make some extra cash and stuff, hey, it's not happening. You know, I'm not in it for the money. I clearly don't make hardly any of it on YouTube. I'm doing it because I am passionate for whiskey, and I'm even more passionate about getting information out to you guys so you can make really well-informed decisions about your purchases and what you want to do with your whiskey. And then ultimately, I love to build the bourbon community just like I do with this channel and my Facebook group. Now, here comes the next one. All right, channels that started only because bourbon was cool, okay, will start dropping like flies. So I'm gonna say any of these channels that are less than 1,000 subs, probably gonna start disappearing. I've already seen a couple disappearing. There's a channel or two that I like to watch that they were small channels. They were good people. They just weren't getting traction. They're already gone. They haven't posted in 5 or 6 months. So they gave up on it. They don't want to do it. This is going to happen just like it did with the craft beer. If you guys remember about the craft beer boom, channels popped up and then poof, craft beer not popular anymore, tanked, right? The next thing I think is going to happen is real whiskey channels will take over the space, because you can't fake passion forever. What does that mean? Well, that means if you have been faking this the whole time about having a passion for it just so you can be in the in crowd of whiskey tube, which I find that to be crazy. If you did it only for those reasons, you're not going to be around much longer. You're going to give up. It's not fun, okay? It's just not going to be fun. You cannot fake it forever. People will start seeing through your bullshit. They're going to see how your enthusiasm has dropped. And those who really do give a shit about what's going on, like myself and many of the other channels, you're going to see our passion continue to grow. You're going to see the channels grow. And most importantly, you're going to see the communities around these channels grow, and you'll probably see more collaborations with these people that are still passionate about that brown juice that we love so much, okay? Hey, the next one is probably one that makes me happy the most, okay? The fakes and the flippers will be exposed, right? It will be no longer worth it to them to put in the time and effort to be flipping bottles like they were. Because when you can pick up a product for the same price in the store as you do in the secondary market, or really, really close, you have to put in a ton of effort to make just a little bit of profit, where during the heyday, they were putting in that same little bit of effort and making a massive amount of profit. It's not going to work anymore. They're going to go back to flipping Pokemon cards. If you haven't seen the crazy thing that's going on with Pokemon, it has been flooding the internet with this prismatic crap. Unbelievable. People fighting over cards, flipping them, scalping cards. It's just unfreaking believable. I just can't believe that that's how it is going. Now, I want to fall back here on this last part before I close this out for you guys, and I want to talk about a little bit of news that pertains to myself, and then just the general whiskey world, okay? So keep in mind, there's some festivals going on this year. You got the Kentucky Bourbon Festival that's going to be happening in September, right? The cost will vary depending on which tier you want to be in, general admission, if you're going to go the whole weekend, one day, if you're VIP, whatever. But keep your eyes on that. That's going to be a huge event this year. And if you are sticking to the end to this video, you're going to find out why I think these events are going to be bigger this year than ever before, okay? Now, we talked about there's going to be a lot of special drops and things that will happen throughout the year, but I think we're going to see the most allocated, rare, hard to get, exclusive offerings this year show up at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival and during Bourbon on the Banks in October, okay? Now, if you're not familiar with either one of these events, I'm going to leave links in the description. It doesn't benefit me a bit if you go because it just makes the line harder, but I will be attending these events. If you guys are there, say hi to me. It's cool. We can hang out and have a pour together. But the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, that's going to be September 5th through the 7th. And like I said, the costs vary. The more affordable event that I think will probably be a better event for either your first time to a bourbon event or you're just new to the whole bourbon scene and you want to experience it, I think Bourbon on the Banks will probably be a much better laid back event to attend, and then it's very, very affordable. I actually, just before filming this, I double checked. General admission is only $35, and the VIP package is going to be $150. So that is great value to be able to go there. They also, on the 3rd, they have like a Bourbon Street kind of festival. It looks like they're going to have like events and fun things and the ability to drink different products and try different stuff going on. And then on the following day, on the 4th, is actually when the event's going to be there on the banks, doing their thing, having a great time. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to be there. I hope to see you guys there. If you got value in this video at all, please help me spread the word. Like, share, subscribe to this video. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, invite someone over for a pour. And until next time, Bourbon Dude out.